I'm Dave Alvin, and this is Finding the Blues. Well, this is my guitar hero. This is, to me, the greatest guitar player that ever lived. That's Lonnie Johnson. He was the guy, maybe the father of jazz guitar, definitely the father of blues guitar, huge influence on Robert Johnson and everybody that came after him, but that was the guy, Lonnie Johnson. And this is my other guitar hero, is Johnny Guitar Watson, an autographed Johnny Guitar Watson, which ties into over here when this was taken off a telephone pole in like 1969 up in Pasadena. That's one of my prized possessions there. You know, he's just, Johnny Guitar Watson was kind of like a mixture of T-Bone Walker and Guitar Slim. And when you heard Johnny Guitar Watson, though, nobody ever sounded like him. And yeah, just other things, you know, that I've just run across, you know, like found this at a swap meet. It's an autographed picture of the great boogie woogie blues piano player Meade Lux Lewis. This is a photograph of Lloyd Glenn, great blues piano player that could play anything, but he was part of the West Coast blues scene and the Central Avenue scene, and he made records, some of T-Bone Walker's earliest records. Lloyd Glenn was a piano player, arranger, and he actually produced Ray Charles's first records. He was the pianist and arranger for Lowell Fulsom, and he wound up working in a prime rib joint 2 blocks from my childhood home in the late 60s and early 70s for like 3 years. So my brother and I and Gene Taylor, the great boogie woogie piano player, when we were little kids, we'd go and sit in the lounge of this prime rib joint and have Lloyd Glenn serenade us. And he gave me this publicity still when I was like 15, and great underrated, unknown guy. And of course, 8x10 of Howlin Wolf. This is a photograph I found in LA of a school for steel guitar players, for African-American religious steel guitar players here in LA, and all the beautiful amplifiers and the beautiful lap steel guitars. And this is a weird photograph that I found in a junk store in Pasadena. It's Big Bill Brunzi, one of my guitar heroes and songwriting heroes. It's Big Bill Brunzi playing to this woman in Europe in the early 50s. You just find this stuff if you look, you know. And they're Lefty Frizzell, but of course Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington, and then the photograph says a million things. This is Elvis Presley meets his God. You know, it's Elvis and Jackie Wilson. And maybe the greatest live show I ever saw was Jackie Wilson doing 4 songs. That was it. That was the greatest thing. And Elvis copped a lot of his stage routines and some of his early style of singing from Jackie Wilson. So it's an amazing photo, because it's like these 2 guys out trying to outstud each other, but that's the guy. That was the guy. Jackie Wilson was the guy. And this is a little tiny photo that I don't know if you can get, but that's me as a young man playing with Big Joe Turner.
Let me zoom in there a little.
Yeah, and there's Lee Allen, who was our musical mentor when we were children. And I was up there stinking up the stage. I was talking about Lloyd Glenn, the piano player. So speaking of Lloyd, this was a poster given to us by Steve Fedor, a great blues piano player. This when, God, I don't know, 20 million years ago. But it's Lloyd Glenn and Lowell Fulsom. Lowell Fulsom was one of the guys you'd see at the Ash Grove. You'd see him in a lot of clubs locally here in LA when we were growing up. But Lloyd Glenn, that was my guy.
Did you sit? Good girl. Speak, come on. Good girl.